I'm Mr. Rosansky, and this is a speed run of Practice Test 9, the second module, the hard one. And this one is going to test us. Let's make our way to the first conventions question and get started. I see the omega. I'm going to check for some omega conventions. I'm going to have nothing that pops. I'm going to go after this dash then in step 2 to look for consistency with lists or bridges. I don't see anything with this dash. Therefore, from the lens of equivalence, I can massacre both A and D. Then I can consider what's going on here. I see a verb that tells me when right there, and I want to let him access his subject of the novel, gingerbread, because there's my subordinating conjunction. Pick it and move on. I'm going to check for another omega consideration. I see the concept of name and title. However, this has a determiner, therefore it's up to me. Nothing's equivalent, and this is where you're going to have to dig in and consider things. This one is going to be this, because aluminum oxide has not been mentioned. The chemical compound needs to be restricted by aluminum oxide because there are infinite, I would imagine, number of chemical compounds that this could be. So we need this in the text. No comma following it because this infinitive phrase needs access to what it's talking about too. We keep moving. That was a tricky one. Omega convention, finally. Something that pops on the first one. We've got our transition, so I'm going to check for a complete sentence on either side. I look to the left side and I've got my career, my modal verb. Everything's chill on the left side. I look to the right side and I see what I have. I see a subordinating conjunction. Turns out to be just a preposition, but that's okay. Another subject and modal verb. So I have a complete sentence on either side. So we're going to massacre this one and massacre this one. And then what do I got? Where is my contrast is what I can continue thinking. What is in contrast with this blue idea? I'll start with the first sentence, and I see it. Even though she was hired to help the war effort by solving complaints, even though she was recruited, rather, to help the war efforts by did that, she did so much more. And I love this colon because the thing after isn't different than this blue. The thing after exemplifies the more than that she did. Conventions question, let's check for our omega considerations. I see that there are verbs, which is nice. I see a singular, I see a singular, I see a singular, and I see a plural. So I'm going to bias this guy and go looking. I see a little bridge areno here. I see a prepositional phrase, and then here is going to be my subject, accomplishments, a test. And I love that. Another conventions question. I've got the omega consideration of verb. I've got a neither, I've got a both, I've got a singular, and I've got a singular. So I've got a lot of weird stuff going on. We can bias the odd man out, but we should go looking for a reason. This hypothesis suggesting that certain trees, such as survive without interruption or human intervention throughout the Holocene, cannot stand. Researchers counter. Wow, this one is going to be tough. First, what you should do is read over this bridge as you're trying to brute force this question. What I recognize is that certain trees survived is starting a dependent clause. I want to find where it ends without interruption or human intervention throughout the Holocene. This is going to be a dependent clause. This is what you're going to want to read over. This hypothesis suggests cannot stand. What you should recognize in this reading is that this modal verb needs access to a subject, which is this guy over here. I can't have two verbs that tell me when or express modality in one clause unless there's a coordinating conjunction that joins them. This falls from that reason. We can say that this falls for the same reason, and an additional one would be the reduced passive nature that this would convey if we were to plug it in would fall too. Awkward is this one. Awkward, but absolutely beautiful. We got to pick up our pace a little bit here. We have our omega consideration. We've got verbs. We've got a both. We've got a plural. We've got a both. We've got a plural. Crazy little question that last one was, but this one seems like it's going to be a little bit easier. I'm going to consider this to be a shifts in verb tense question. So I'm going to see a future, a present, a past, and a present. I'm going to go looking for some sort of clue. Atoms, travel. This is going to be a verb that tells me when, and then I keep reading. I've got another verb for the now, so I can eliminate the ones that aren't in the right now. Now, the difference between B and D are a notion of aspect. B is the simple present, and D is the present progressive. The extent to which I want you to understand something about these is that always pick the simple unless something before or after this verb, a different clause exists, or it could even be a phrase. Something is going to scream to you to go for the aspect. And in this dependent clause right here doesn't scream for me to pick anything other than reach, and I'm going to pick reach, and I'm going to move on with my life. Conventions questions, I can just pop down and see that this is absolutely going to be a misplaced modifier question. What am I juggling? I see on the right, compared to that of alumina glass. If you skip over this essential phrase, you're going to think compared to alumina glass and you're going to go after one of these two. But that's not the case. We have to notice the importance of that. What is the that? And that's where I can conceptualize that what the sentence is actually saying is compared to the atomic arrangement of alumina glass. This is what the sentence is actually saying. This is like a pronoun antecedent agreement question nested within a misplaced modifier question. When I break this apart, compared to the atomic arrangement, I need to compare atomic arrangement to atomic arrangement. Sometimes on these very tricky ones, we can look to the end phrase to help us as the secondary lens of a misplaced modifier, but the colon is a nebulous opportunity. All I have to do is recognize that the pronoun needs to be replaced by its antecedent, then the rest of the question falls through transition. What have I got? Let's get to reading. The artist succeeds in creating a whimsical experience. Whimsical yet perplexing. Blah, 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 blah. They are both dazzled and confused. It seems to be presenting an example of it. I don't have an example of it. Indeed, we're just proving the point here. There's absolutely no contrast. I'm not going to get caught up in the yet and do that. There's no second because I really didn't even have a first. I have more of the same. In the first sentence, I'm going to read, she has empirically demonstrated, she proved that this thing can be sustainably managed. Therefore, it fights back. Therefore, she proved it. Therefore, it claps back against. I like that cause and effect contrast. Because she proved it, it can be used to clap back. As such, is going to be that. I want a similarity between the books. Trash this. I don't need any notes. We're not going to necessarily need any notes for this one. The books, which contains fewer short stories than this does. This is saying that there's contrast between them. One book, I don't like this because I want a similarity, was published in, this gives us 2 years, but the years are different. Unlike this seems to be expressing a contrast again. I'm getting a little worried that I screwed something up. This and this, so far, good start. Both describes this. Let's check to make sure it's true because I don't want to think that I miss anything. The stories describe surreal events. The stories describe surreal events. I'm looking for a similarity, so that's going to be it. I want to present the study and I want to present the study's conclusions. So as part of the 2013, a chemical analysis was conducted. I don't like A because I'm not given in A. I'm not giving my conclusions. Fragments found, an analysis suggests this has my conclusions, and I like that. The studied what they did. This doesn't have the conclusion. Estimated that were found and estimated to be were found. This seems to be what inspired the studied. I'm just going to check to see what the conclusions are. They found the fragments were estimated. That may have been domesticated. That's going to be the conclusion, and I want that. A presents the study and its conclusions, B presents the study and the conclusion. I'm going to keep cruising. I want to introduce this poetry collection made in 1983. Before she published this thing in 1983, and she did visual art at this thing. Now, this is just using the detail to focus on something else. A is trash. Is a true art that include. Now, this is introducing the artist kind of as a scope of her work. Published in 1983. I like this. Is a collection of poetry by this person. I like this. In July, I don't know where I'm getting that. In 1971, she did her first. I'm going to check to make sure this is true. Is the 1983 this one? That's 2023. Where is it? Oh, there it is. The poetry collection maps on, and it's all done by her. We have no mix-up of different artists. Absolutely. I want to emphasize the aim of this research study. Why was this research study done? Wanted to know, absolutely. After they did a bunch of things, this is the result, not the aim. I keep looking to the next one. We now know. No, this is like a conclusion from this. Researchers obtain the habitat. This is part of their methodology. For 27, I'm going to go with A because that's the only one that presents it. Let's go to our first vocabulary question. Looking for this, we've got a semicolon and a rather signal element. We want the opposite of may actively support. The opposite of may actively support, it may be latent. So hypothesis of the role isn't latent. Rather, it may actively support. It's not latent, so it is busy. Proof of that is going to come on this left side with latent. Because it's going to be my signal element here, because the location was this, I don't know, so my signal element is going to kick me to something. Produced there could reach the capital only after a long, only overland journey, so far away. Because the location of the emperor was so far away, maybe approximate, no, peripheral shows that it's far away. The entailment of concealed isn't always that it's far away. Peripheral does say it's on the outer limit, so that's going to be it. Detailed statistical analysis help preclude claims of the events, this confirming the signal to be over. So it claps back claims of the events not being there because my sig overnight, it's over 99,000. Helps clap back against the events, whether it's there or not, ambiguity, whether or not it's there, confirming that it's over, right? Because they're not clapping back about the probability. That's kind of like the opposite of it. Precise words or phrase, signal element that I see here is going to be my while. Can I highlight this while? Can I highlight this while, please? Some people loved, right? Supported this development, asserting that such laws had a welcome transparency. If I didn't know what lauded mean, I think welcome could help me unpack that. Less, I see a bunch of negative stuff over here. That could help me if I didn't understand what lauded means. So I've got like positivity here, negativity over here. So I want the opposite of like support and less. Oh no, I don't want the opposite. I want the statement of this, so that they were not enthusiastic. So they were not enthusiastic, and the word that's going to choose this is sanguine is going to be my answer for this one. That's a body one, right? If you don't know what these words mean, you don't spend too much time on it. You're going to get yourself kicked in on it. So ever repulsed, yet rushing on. You are pushed away, but you come back. Refusing with, this is charming, with enthusiasm to continue. That's going to be my summary of this. Let's go try to fight our fight. It portrays the surroundings as an imposing and intimidating scene. That seems a bit negative. It characterizes the sea waves as a relentless and enduring force. I want to just check to see what I'm talking about here, because I thought it was going to be a U at first. Oh, deep delight to watch the gladsome waves exultantly. Yes, so my U was wrong. It's actually the waves. So it's not intimidating. That's too negative. I really like the way that B looks. It conveys the speaker's ambivalent. Someone's confusion over the yet could lead them to this, but it's just speaking to the contrasting actions that the waves are experiencing, getting pushed away, but they come back. But it's not mixed feelings on the speaker's part. And then D is again trying to get me to be confused by this yet. We're not drawing contest between this. It's just they're relentless and enduring. I know they're relentless because it's pushed away and it comes back, and enduring because filled with a life. They're going to move on forever. I seem to be interacting with text 2 and text 1, so I'm going to engage with text 2 first. Let's start developing a little summary for what's going on here. Let's start developing a summary for what's going on here. They connect phytoplankton's diversity. They connect phytodiversity to size. Oof, I already know this is going to be a blender. Since they are small, they are far apart, and they experience that water as relatively dense. Oof. Since they are spaced out, they are far apart. Because they are small, they're far apart, and they experience water as super dense. Geez, this is tough. Next sentence. Because they are, okay, good. This is helping. Because they are far and water to them is dense, it is hard for them to interact. Seems to be where I'm at. Therefore, competition. So competition does not happen much. Whew. Okay. I think I understand as best as I can. Let's go for text 1. Ecologists have long wondered how microscopic phytoplankton can live together near ocean surfaces competing. So how do they do this? Well, he would say that they don't even compete that often so far. He would say that, oh, I should have gone to the, so the underlying sentence, why I kind of skipped that, is like conventional wisdom. I'm establishing my scope of what it means to be conventional wisdom. I was less disciplined there. I should have gone to this first. I don't know what conventional wisdom, so I'm reading the text because I want to know what the conventional wisdom is. So immediately he would say, they don't compete for the same resources because they're far apart and water's too heavy for them. According to conventional wisdom, one species should emerge after outcompeting the rest. No, they don't hang out close together. So why do many species? Because they're not actually competing. Many efforts. They're not actually competing. Okay, I hope that this is it. By arguing that it is based on a misconception, yes, about phytoplankton species, they're not competing with each other. This feels to be like it, but I have to keep reading. and not just abort because I think I found something that I like, by asserting that it fails to recognize the routine replenishment of ocean nutrients, preventing competition. No. It's not that there's an abundance of things in the ocean. They just don't even fight with each other. By suggesting that their own findings may help clarify how. No. With larger organisms, they're not even competing in the first place. These phytoplanktons don't compete because they're lonely little boys, right? They're not mingling between societies. They are trapped in their own little realms by the heavy, dense water. By recommending that more ecologists focus their research on how competition is increased with water density. No. Their text two's claim would be that there is less. They would decrease with water density. No. They would just say that you don't understand. They're not fighting. They're lonely little phytoplankton. They can't mingle, right? They're trapped on their own. A is going to be the right answer. Pick it and move on. Why was, according to the text, why was Wangen's discovery significant? Why was it significant? For years, they thought that this thing only can be, for years they thought this thing, in a discovery that expands, I love this. This is giving it to me. It expands our understanding of geographical distribution. That just means that they found like different places, different geography for these fossils. They were aimed that lived on the paleocontinent of this place. So they now know that it can be in new places. I like it. The fossil constitutes the first evidence that makes it, no, this is a when, not a where. The fossil establishments are closely related to relationships of this. I'll leave him on the table. The fossils have a more accurate timeline of evolution on the Paleon, on the context. A more accurate timeline of evolution. No. They didn't even know that it could have been on this. And this is another one that's making me focus on the when. The fossil constitutes first evidence that I love this. That it expanded our understanding of geographical distribution. They are on Gondwana. They used to be on the Russia. Therefore, it is this. B is wrong, not because of the relationship between. They just never knew it was on that space. This is the overarching claim that's got to be where I fight my fight. Oh man. What statement is strong? So it's based on according to about this weird concept. Jeez. Okay, this is all italicized, and this is a word that I don't know. Okay. Poetry in this relies on this thing, which is this. Okay. Poetry, the diff equals noun, parallel structure. Okay, this is comfortable to me. I dig it. Noun constructions that work to make a metaphor. I'm not going to type the parallel structure thing because that's very comfortable for me. Let's exemplify this sucker. The common, this thing. Okay, so this is the unit. Oh, I see it. Like it's like a preposition then a thing, a preposition then a thing. Oh, so not a preposition but a determinant. Okay, that's fine. So all that means, all that defrismo, that the parallel structure as a metaphor is this. So how does the parallel structure of the eagle, the jaguar work? Cool. I feel very comfortable now. So the diff means warrior. That's what it means. The device's function is both formal and ritual. So semantic relations, which would not be related to this, it would be about meaning. Semantic relationships between them and the concept they signify are tough. The meaning is tough to find in that because the intelligible according to the or only intelligible because they are only understood through the ceremonial culture of Aztec. Okay, I've got this. I've got it packed up. I feel good about this. I've got a lot of claims to support. Let's see what it's got. This was overwhelming. So that other one was easy. Its metaphorical significance derives from the semantic equivalence of the two nouns. No. The tenuous, right? The whole point of this is that the claim that, where is that? The claim right here, this refutes A, absolutely. Its unintelligibility, it does make a claim that it's tough, may cause its formal function to go unnoticed. No, I didn't think there was any impact to the formal function. And it was about the semantics. It was about the ritual part of it. The meaning was the problem, not the structure. I have nothing to support. I want to detail that it would go unnoticed by present-day readers. No, not unnoticed. It was noticed. I noticed it, right? I disagree with that statement. Its apparent obscurity can be resolved when considered in the proper. Yes, this maps onto what I love here. Keep reading. Its frequency confirms its free. How often it happens means that the ASIC audience couldn't understand it. No, get out of here. Graph to complete the statement. What's my graph? Ratio of manganese to calcium in samples from the AC and the M coast. AC and M coast, okay? What am I completing? Oxygenation. Oxygenation may have mattered for A, but not M. What's oxygenation? I'm going to see if I even need that concept. I'll zoom out once. Do I even need this concept? A is talking about a substantial, I don't know what oxygenation is. My charts don't talk about oxygenation. I'm going to look in the text for it. So the LP went down 9,000 and 11,001, okay? Those are represented here. Using the ratio, oh my gosh, the ratio, using the ratio of M to C, which is on my chart. Okay, so this is going to map onto this, which is, inversely. So as MC, I'm just going to abbreviate it. As MC goes up, oxygenation goes down. Absolutely. Oxy goes down. Oxy goes down. And I know it's obvious, but I overwhelmed a little. Goes down, oxy goes up. So this is like a proxy for the opposite phenomena. Marine science development. Okay. Easy. Too easy right now. So a substantial increase in oxygenation. So a decrease, so a substantial decrease in the AC, which is what I'm seeing, corresponded with the local decline. A substantial increase with the local decline. How do I know how many? And it's the opposite. 9. Okay. The population. Ooh, this one's good. So the population of coral declined significantly around 9,000, which is here for the AC. And I was just making a mistake. You saw my cursor tracking this way. It goes this way. So what's happening is that we're right to left here, right to left. On the right side, as MC is increasing, we see the trend that's MC is going up. MC is going up. So oxy is going down. That's the claim that the chart is saying. Because we're right to left here. That no, oxygenation is not going up in the AC. Oxygenation is going down throughout this entire process. A is a liar. It declined in the AC with a substantial local decline. I like how B is looking right now. That maps onto the truth. But L declined in the Martian coast during a period of little change. Yes, this is a little change. I like this. Oxygenation in the AC was higher before the decline. Was higher before the decline than after the decline. Was relatively low. Oxygenation was low. Oxygenation in the AC was higher before the decline of this. So as MC goes up, oxygen higher before the decline than after the decline, okay? Whereas oxygenation near the M coast was relatively low. No, since this was low, oxygenation was very high. So this is the part that's a liar. Kill this. Oxygenation in the AC tended to be substantially higher. No, it's not higher. No, it's lower. B is the right answer. Pick it and move on. Which of the findings most strongly supports their claim? Where is their claim? Where's their claim? Claim. I found evidence of this effect. What's the effect? Let's read this and lock in our effect. I've argued that all good feeling, I know that, makes us feel connected and be nice. Awesome. So, would strongly support their claim. So, niceness. Person who helped looking at trees helped more pen than this. I read A and I realize I don't understand what all is in the context of this text, so I have to go back to the text and discover that. Claims of evidence for the study. They had some people look at trees which is apparently all. Some looked at buildings, which is not all. After 1 minute, they spilled the pens. So just to read this, I would imagine that tree lookers did nice. Building lookers did not do nice. Participant in looking at the trees helped the experiment pick up more pens. Yes, that shows that they're doing something that's nice, and I really like that. Participant who helped the experiment pick up the pens used a greater number of positive words to describe the trees and the building in the post experience than who did not. No, it's or, right? I knew that kind of naturally as I was going, or I just assumed naturally that there was going to be two different groups, but this or supports that. People didn't do both. Participants who did not help the experiment pick up the pens were significantly more likely to have reported a feeling of awe. No, this would kind of fight their study. Participants who've been looking at the building were significantly more likely to not notice, they wanted someone to do something. That's what altruism is. We want to support what supports the conclusion, power conversion efficiency, lowest and highest performing spin-coated and spray-coated electron transport layer. We go to the text. Spray coating holds promise. Spray coating improves the conversion efficiency. I'm low on time, so I'm just going to start to fight my fight here. Both ETL applied through spin coating, this one, and ETL applied through spray coating showed a power at the lowest, showed greater. That's true. The lowest performing ETL applied through spray coating, had higher power conversion than the highest performing ETL applied through spin coating. That's true. So both of these are true. Right now I'm trying to show the efficiency. I'm going to go to my claim. Efficiency of the spray coating. So this one isn't doing that. All of them being better just shows that they're all pretty good. So I can extract this from this, but this is giving me a specific claim that I could use to support both, supported by the chart that supports my claim. The highest performing ETL applied through spray coating showed a power conversion. The highest performing through the highest, no, that's a lie. It's not 16. It's way higher. 13, it's higher than that. It's 16. There was a substantial difference in power conversion between the lowest performing and the highest performing. Sure, but once again, A is wrong. D is wrong for the same reason that A is wrong. B is going to be my right answer. Which of the following, if true, would most supportedly weaken the claim? I want to weaken this claim. What is the claim? What is my claim? My claim is here. Voting, participating does not change the feelings, attitudes toward a candidate. Let's go in. Participant, let's see if we can do it. Subjects' attitudes towards the winning candidate 2 years after were strongly predicted by subjects' general political orientation, regardless. No. So, like, I want some statements that does not change. I want to weaken that. I want someone voted and their feelings change. That's what I want. This political orientation is kind of a bizarre statement that doesn't support anything that what I try to prove. Subjects who are not old enough to vote, so people who didn't vote, had their feelings changed. Okay, that deals with the concept. It's not exactly what I'm looking for, but at least that's it. Subjects who voted in a given election held significantly more. I love this. Someone who voted and their feeling changed. Someone voted in an election, had more views than did subjects who were not old enough to vote. Okay, so B's going to fall. I could kind of conceptualize that it was talking about an opposite thing, but what I want is this exact claim. This not only makes the exact claim that I'm looking for, but it also speaks to the other thing. This has to weaken it. 2 years after a given election, subjects who voted and subjects who were not old enough were significantly likely to express negative than positive. No, all I'm looking for is a state of change, not that they went in one specific direction. For 12, C has got to be the right answer. I'm going to logically complete the text. Let's go here and let's find something. Torts preferred the image. Preferred, what's the image? I'm going to go back a sentence. Preferred 3 dots that looked like a face. Torts, and then this described a kind of torts who did not have good dads and were lonely babes. Who did not and were lonely. Torts who did not have good dads and preferred a dot with 3 faces. Let's go to the answers. Face-like stimuli were likely perceived as harmless by newborns of social species than practiced care, but as threatening by without parental care. Researchers should not assume that an innate trait. I'm going to read one more sentence. So, among social animals, care for the youngs, newborns show an innate attraction. I got you. Okay. So, torts, who are non-social animals, liked the face. Therefore, face-like similar person, but as threatening. No, they grew up without it, but they like the face. Researchers should not assume that an innate attraction to face-like is necessarily. Yes, I love this, right? Because social animals like faces, non-social animal like faces, do not assume that it's because of something there. Perfect. Researchers can assume that an attraction is in social species that practice is learned, rather it's not innate. Or sorry, it is not learned. Everybody has it. Newly hatched tissues show stronger preference. Now, this is comparing babies to adults. That's not the case. Results of the study, therefore, let's just go back a sentence. The cognitive abilities of monkeys given problems requiring little dexterity, low dexterity, was measured by the same criteria as high dexterity. So the cognitive abilities given problem requiring low dexterity were judged by the same criteria of those monkeys giving physically demanding problems. So, right, because low dexterity was measured by the same criteria as high dexterity, there's a difference in cognitive abilities among the monkeys, even though that such differences may not exactly. So I like this so far. They're the same criteria to measure these wildly different tasks, and I like that, are useful for identifying tasks that the monkeys lack the cognitive capacity before, but not the ones that they can do. I think that they have the capacity to do them both, but I'm going to check the text. In a study of cognitive abilities, researchers I love this. This supports my A. So that's how I can catch this detail out. B's wrong. They can do both of the tasks. That's not going to be it. Because low dexterity is measured by the same criteria as high dexterity, should not be taken as an indicative of other. No. The entire study sucked. Reveal more about the monkey's cognitive abilities when solving artificial problems than real-world problems. No, that's wrong again. The sliding, all of these problems were fake problems, and this is the answer just in the nick of time. Too easy. Whew. My heart was racing towards the end there, but that's okay. We finish in time every time, even with the handicapped weights of having to type all of my thoughts. Oh, GG's. Too much fun.